I remember being, well, friends with Peter, who used to work here.
Yeah.
I reckon back in 2006 and 7, I'd come in here to get strings. And I remember you guys were the only store that would accommodate my weird string needs because I was
How
playing the.
weird can a string need be?
Yeah, well, I needed a. I think I wanted like 45 on the G, and then I needed like a 130 or a 135 for the. I just wanted this weird amalgam of string sets,
Weird
and
tuning.
yeah, and so I remember coming in here and I was like, wow, you break up sets for me? Wow, that's nice of you. Yeah. So Peter used to help me out with that, and I
So
actually.
Peter was the one that used to break up my string set.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, right?
Sorry, Pete.
That's you thrown under the bus.
Yeah, but it was kind of like it had the big small shop vibe, right? Where it was like we've got all the big brands, but we can help you in this way, like almost like a bespoke, kind of on a need by need basis. I remember when we finished recording our third album, I'm the Revolution.
Yep.
We'd just finished it. We had come in here as well. We were recording at Kingdom Studios on Guildford Road, and we'd bought strings over that whole time, and we'd in and out of here all the time. And once it was finished, I remember like, let's take a copy to concept, and we all signed it, and we brought it in here and gave it to you guys. I remember that was a really special feeling. That was like, wow, this store was a part of this journey.
Yeah.
Making this album, and it was like, it was a badge of honor, really, wasn't it? This album, bring it in, show everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys actually.
I've got a bit of a collection of CDs out there that people have signed, which is
Yeah,
lovely,
yeah.
which is really special.
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah, there's some really. I've seen the collection. Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool
Yeah,
journey.
you guys have been a massive lifesaver when we've been going to tours. Like even before I started working here, this is always where I would come for my accessories and strings and fix-ups, and you always seem to have string gauges that no one else has as well. So thanks, Concept.
What are you using in strings these days? You mentioned you've changed.
Yes.
Funny you should mention that,
Funny you
Grant.
should
Funny you
mention-
should mention that. Yeah.
Here's one I played earlier.
But weirdly, every time we do a workshop, every time we do a in-store with somebody, it's one of those cliches that you're waiting, cringing. What strings do you use?
Yeah.
But people want to know.
Yeah.
People are interested, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
part of their journey because they're learning. They don't know yet, So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Well, you're always learning, and that comes to the point with these strings, which are actually a new gauge, fairly new. I think they've only come out in the last sort of 6 months.
they are new.
They're a new 7-string gauge by Ernie Ball. They're the skinny top, heavy bottom, so they go from 10 to 62. Now, I don't really like heavy strings because I just like to have not so much effort, to feel effortless when you're shredding and playing sort of your solos and things like that. But you need the tight chonk on the bottom end, and we, as Alex mentioned, now drop down to G on some of our songs, so kind of the
Do you have to travel with multiple guitars and with different tunings?
No,
or do you just play the
I
one?
usually only play the one guitar,
Yeah.
which obviously can cause issues with tuning and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. But we just recently tried these out, and they are absolutely incredible for like drop tuning. So most of our tunes now are drop A or drop G, not a lot of them in B standard. And it's just so much tighter on the bottom end. You're not getting as much sort of flop going on, and the actual tone out of it as well is nice and thick and tight.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ernie Ball, for bringing out the light top heavy bottoms, because they have been quite magical.
Yep,
You're
absolutely.
using Ernie balls as well?
Yeah, I've used Ernie's since.
I mean, weirdly, nearly all the stuff here play Ernie balls. It's
They're just, I don't know whether it's because we drink the same coffee or water or something that like our sweat doesn't make them, just die immediately. But I've just always loved the sound of Ernie balls. I play the Power Slinky Bass 5. 5-string sets. I mean, this is 50 to 135. So normally, like I tell people,
meaty string.
that I play this gauge and like, ugh. It's like it's.
But you're not trying to tune it up to.
Yeah, but you play a different tuning as well, don't you? You've got like a unique tuning.
Since I picked up, I came from the 4-string bass world, and it was always, I would almost love a reason to just play a 4-string in E, A, D, G.
Yeah.
And that's all I had to do. That'd be beautiful. That's kind of like, whenever I get to do that now, it's like, feels like home. Not the case with, progressive power pop, synth metal. I've got 4 different tunings on a bass. Like, it's pretty crazy. So I normally start with like G, D, A, D, A, which is I've got I've got A and then a drop A, and I've got a D and then a drop D. Everything is linear. And that's how I just thought, well, why would I go to B when I can drop down to A and get more, like I can get extremely low.
Yeah.
And then of course I have to tune to, like E and B. The standard, the song Dreamer is all in like a standard.
On the same bass.
Yep, the same bass. And then now G, D, A, drop D, drop G, G, D, A, E, drop A. There's just any number of tunings that I use on my Mayones bass. And with these strings, I'm getting all of that out of one set, and it feels awesome. Like for me to be able to tune this up to this 135 to B, and then all the way down to A, and then again down to G on one guitar.
Yes,
like we're all doing it on one guitar. It's like
It's huge.
Even when you're doing a live show.
oh yeah,
Only using the one.
we only use
one
one.
bass.
We only use one. Like
Wow.
this is where being an original metal band, it's like you don't have the budgets for a tech.
Yeah.
You got to
Or
do
like-
everything yourself. You got to
or the
tune.
weight.
You just like the song stops, and we're all like tuner.
Yep. That's why everyone goes,
Tune
why do
away.
you tune after every song? I'm like, because we're constantly changing
Yeah,
this tuning.
yeah,
So
yeah.
of course it's going
Maybe after Eurovision we can get the guy to hand us the guitars. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe like
Joe Walsh,
maybe Qantas could give us
Yeah.
extra weight.
Joe Walsh handing us the guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in our budget.
Yeah, it's mainly just for touring because we can't afford to take more than one
Well,
instrument
that's
with
a whole nother
us.
logistical thing.
Yeah, so
Because they're coming from Perth, so
Yeah.
every
Most
like
remote capital city in the world.
Yeah.
We'll be there in a minute.
to get 5 and oftentimes 6 people out of Perth over to Europe is like
yeah, and
so
they're
expensive.
trying to tell you one piece at 30 kilos,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like,
Do you want to play a guitar or be dressed?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. You can take one t-shirt.
just kind of
I
negotiate.
could take, I could take 2 basses and be nude, or 1 bass and be clothed. I think I'd know which option I prefer, and everyone else would prefer.
So yeah, hence why
So
like
Ernie balls, and they retain their like just beautiful, crisp, like high fidelity sound. And anyone watching this, any bass player, any band, from the years and years that we've spent on the road with other bands, I reckon the secret to an awesome whole sound on stage for a band is fresh bass strings.
Fresh strings. Yep.
Even guitarists, because there's so much overdrive and stuff on them.
Yep.
I use quite a bit of distortion as well. But I've noticed, I've been succinctly aware of a band that I've seen one night with dead bass strings versus the band the next night with fresh strings. And I'm like, wow, it makes everything sound
We did
just better.
Many years ago. We did a workshop with Stu Ham.
Yeah.
When he was touring with Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
And we did an in-store, and he was talking about his basses. His main bass that he plays, bearing in mind he had about 4,
He's got so
they restrung his main bass 3 times in the night.
Oh.
So 3 sets of strings on his
He
main
goes
bass
hard.
in one night.
Yeah.
It's like, not like how many gigs do they last, like how many songs do they last?
Do you remember when we saw a clinic with Stu Ham?
Yeah.
was it
and
the
we got
Floriat?
Yeah.
we got a photo with him.
This ham
Who's standing
sandwich.
there and goes, "Hey, it's a ham sandwich." My God, that
He's
dude's
a funny
beast.
guy.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
funny guy.
So Ernie Ball.
Ernie Balls.
Ernie
Yeah.
Balls.
Thanks, Ernie.
Thanks, Ernie. Yeah.